Hello and welcome back to the Everything Canada Soccer Podcast episode. Oh, what episode? Because we missed a week.
Well, yeah, I think we missed a couple weeks. Might be
Just one, just
nine.
it was just last week. Here, I'm gonna quickly check because I should have looked at this before. We are on because the last post was episode 8, and that was on
Yeah,
June
nine.
25th. Today's July 7th, so yeah, just missed 1 week. And episode 9. So today we're just gonna talk about the results from the weekend. Talk about transfer rumors here in Canada and incoming transfers to Canada as well, and potentially who could go overseas. But yeah, without further ado, let's just crack on and get into it. So, on the Canada Day long weekend, I was out camping, so I was not able to. I was where there's no Wi Fi, internet connection. I briefly got to watch the end of Atletico versus Forge. So that was an interesting one to watch, and might as well just get into that one. We'll just go reverse this week. So we'll start with Atletico and Forge, which ended in a 1-0 win for Atletico, which means that Forge has now lost twice in a row at home. And I'm not
Yep,
sure, that might be the first time that's happened to them in franchise history.
yep.
I think, like, I can't remember a time when because they're
Lost
usually just,
twice.
yeah, they're usually just like rock solid at home, but they just were not. They just couldn't score. They had 9 shots, 0 on target. Atletico had 7, 1 on target, and that one was Ollie Bassett's free kick, which sailed in
Yep.
perfectly. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think this means for the league or Forge's
Um,
chances?
I mean, like, Ford got dethroned last year at home for Pacific, so
Mhm.
I feel like that itself gave it a big boost to the majority of the other teams in the league. But um, I think that's the tendency. It's more and more becomes more leverage and competitive. Like,
Mhm.
we shouldn't be looking to have a club that stands out in this league at this stage. Of course, if we
Yeah.
have 20 clubs like we see at Spanish league, Italian league, etc., it makes sense to have it a top 5 or top 3, or like we see in the British league, a top 6 or top 7 top
Yeah.
quality teams always fighting for the title. But
Mhm.
with 8 clubs, like, they should technically all be
Yeah.
leveraged.
Yeah.
So seeing a team even like Edmonton going to the Tim Hortons field and beating them is
Mhm.
still something that it doesn't impress me. It's like, I'm okay, like, I'm happy to see Forge losing twice in a
Yeah.
row,
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
honest. But sorry, Forge fans, but it's just because cheering for the Cavs for me, it's a blessing to see that happening. But it doesn't impress me yet. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But I feel like, of course, if we grow the league more and more, and we have a team that creates that becomes kind of like the
Mhm.
powerhouse of the league, and we see them losing 3, 4, 5 games in a row, that should be a topic to talk about it. But at this stage, it's quite competitive. And
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, Atletico does have a pretty good
Oh,
defensive
yeah.
system right now. Like, they're quite organized. I think their coach won Coach of the Month for the CPL,
Yeah.
and they are, like, that tactically speaking, they're a neat team to see.
Mhm.
They might not do a show, score 4 goals or 5 goals or goals like we're seeing the Cavs doing it, but it's definitely they deserved it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a
Yeah.
surprise for me to see that. So
Yeah, no, if it was any team, it would be like Atletico. I mean, at the moment before the weekend games, they are tied for first with Cavs, even though they've played one more game. But after a season last year of them actually like kind of struggling to kind of find a place in the league, they've gone on and really kind of like making a name for themselves. They're using that like because before
yeah,
they were bought by Atletico Madrid out in Spain, and they were just kind of like almost like a feeder club, find Canadian talent, develop Spanish talent in a lower league. But now they're actually starting to make a name for themselves in this league, which I think is good, especially for an expansion team to be second or tied for first in a league, even though they only came a year later. That's still them trying to play catch up, and that I think that's good news for teams coming in that in the next couple of years, like Vancouver
yeah.
next year. It gives
And
hope
I
for those teams.
and I feel like Atletico project. Sorry for interrupting. Just to
No,
adding
fine.
up to Atletico, I feel like it's great for the league to as a portfolio for future projects, because if you see it
Mhm.
in MLS right now, one of the first investors in the MLS coming from an Austrian company was Red Bull. Red Bull is an
Yeah,
Austrian company,
yeah,
and they already had that, Red Bull Salzburg. Like, I don't know if the Leipzig was already there when the New York Red Bulls came in, but it was
yeah.
around the same time, about 15 years ago. I remember going to a Red Bull New York Red Bull game in New Jersey in 2011. So it's been quite a while that they be around.
Mhm.
Uh, so I just feel like, a city group, which has the New York City, they just bought a team in Uruguay, First Division Uruguay last year. That is a
Yeah.
city, Montevideo City. And they have one in Bolivia right now. So they're always looking for secondary markets to create that. Manchester
Mhm.
City right now, I think, is the club that buys the most youth
Yeah.
players and don't utilize them on the
Yeah. Yeah.
actual
Yeah.
English team. You know what I mean? Girona from Italy, from Spain, 30% owned by Citigroup. So
Mm.
having Atletico here can open the eyes for other investors like that, which I think that will be able to bring more clubs to the league, which it
Yeah.
is a problem right now. Let's think about it. Edmonton apparently just found a suitable buyer or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
But how long they were under the league administration? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? They
That's not
didn't
good.
had they didn't had owners, right? So that means that there was no demand for someone trying to get it, or there was no rush from the league to get someone to take ownership. And I
Yeah.
feel like a successful case study for Atletico Ottawa can help that, side of the league. So
Yeah. No, I think if an investor group, because Red Bull, like the City Group, Dortmund, they have a team in League One Ontario.
yeah,
That's the men's and
Dortmund
women's team as
does.
well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's interesting. I did not know that. Yeah,
it's BVB Waterloo. They have a men's and women's team, which I think it's like kind of connected, which I think is really good to grow both sides of the game here in Canada.
yeah,
My own club does this sort of the same thing. Foothills, they have like a men's team and a women's team, so kind of
yeah.
grows both sides. But no, I think if a Red Bull or a City group could come in and just buy another team, I could like very easily see a Red Bull Toronto team or something, just because
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
they
Yeah.
have New York, right? Biggest one of the biggest. It's the biggest city in the
Could
states
be
of.
Montreal. Could be
Could be
Montreal too.
Montreal as well, but like
Yeah.
two cities that are like well known throughout the world. I think that's I think that's definitely good for the growth. So
A
I
lot of
would,
people in
yeah.
Canada don't know, but Toronto and Montreal are top five in North America commercial markets, size of metropolitan area.
Mhm.
When we talk about New York, LA, Mexico City,
Yeah.
Montreal, and Toronto. I'm not saying the exact order, but those are the
Yeah.
five major like poles.
Yeah.
And so they're huge. They're huge. You know what I
Oh,
mean? And I'm actually
100%.
surprised that we still don't have a Quebec team in this league.
Yeah, I think they're just waiting for the right investor, which is good because you wanna get it right for that sort of group, because I feel like and this is just me, like, speaking as a Westerner in Canada, but I feel like the French are very specific and very, very particular when it comes
Yeah,
to those sorts of things. So, like, I know, like, for the hockey team, they would want like, Quebec would probably have a team, and then they would want it to be the Quebec Nordiques that were moved
they left.
decades
Yeah,
ago, right? They wouldn't want any other team, no other name. They want the Quebec Nordiques. So,
same as MLB when they had an MLB team.
yeah.
Which for the ones that like other sports, interesting fact: Tom Brady was drafted by the Montreal MLB team. Uh,
No
and
way.
he
That's
decided,
cool.
he was drafted for both, for NFL and
That's sick.
MLB in Canada. And he's like, you know what, I'm gonna go play NFL. And he became the GOAT. So
Yeah, thank goodness
it's kind of
thank
funny.
goodness he played NFL.
Sorry,
Holy
sorry, we're running away from
all good,
the
all
real
good, all good.
football, talking about the fake football. But
Yeah.
yeah,
So we'll go. Okay, we'll just move on to the next results now, which is still an exciting result. FC Edmonton beating York United 3-0. Both are struggling teams though, and in the power rankings, I moved FC Edmonton up because I think they deserve it. They're finally
yep,
putting some good form behind themselves.
I
But
agree.
man, they dominated York. Not in possession, it was about even, but in terms of 19 shots for Edmonton, 6
Hmm.
on target.
I saw
Like,
the second half, like
yeah,
volume. It was first time I see the last 20-30 minutes I would say 30 minutes of a second half of
yeah,
Edmonton actually keeping up physically,
yeah,
keeping up
right,
tactically, focused.
yeah,
So they earned it, but they were playing well. Like they were playing well.
yeah,
The whole season we'd be talking trash about it,
yeah, right.
but I watched only the second half. I didn't watch the first goal, but they did play well the second half.
Yeah.
Control possession, control all the actions on the game. So
Mhm.
yeah,
But yeah, you could see it in the last coming weeks. Like, they were getting better and better each game, getting close. They almost beat Valor, but that tying goal from Willie Akio stopped that. But just
yeah,
getting closer and closer, and they finally won their first game, and now then they had a setback, and then they've now won another game against a struggling side. These are the games that Edmonton and York need to win. the ones against the teams at the bottom of the table in order to move up and be worthy enough to even beat the teams above them. But so for SC Edmonton, now that they've won a couple of games in a row, where do you think? How far do you think they can still make the playoffs, or do you think it's a little too far now? Because what are we? We're halfway through the season now, aren't we?
Halfway through this, I mean, halfway through the season, we can still, if you think about it, they're only, Forge has three last
Yeah.
matches right now, three
Yeah,
last
we could
games.
probably say halfway through
But
the
they,
season. Yeah.
like, if they win 2 games in a row right now, and a couple teams like Halifax or Forge
Mhm.
slack again, or Valor, like they'll go up. You know what I mean? Like they'll
Yeah.
go up. United most likely, or York most likely will go for last. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It's tough to say, right? Like again,
Yeah.
that's what I said in the beginning. Really competitive league. It wouldn't impress me. They're winning 5 games in a row, for example, and then
Yeah.
moving up, right?
Man, this
but
makes me really excited for Vancouver coming in. Sorry, next season, just when we have another team, and then we can, have more combinations of teams playing each other and more exciting, like just more storylines, more of
we're gonna
everything.
have a BC Classic now, and
Yeah.
we're gonna have
Wonder what
Alberta
they're gonna
Classic
call it.
and BC Classic. So
Yeah, because I swear, like North America frustrates me so much because we have El Clasico, Real Madrid, Barcelona, and that's what it's always been called. And then we have LA have 2 teams, and they called it El Tráfico.
who called El Tráfico?
That's what that LA Galaxy versus LAFC, they called it El Tráfico because of the highway between the 2 stadiums or something.
Yeah.
I'm like that. Okay, what? Like I guess that's creative. And then the Alberta or the Cavalry versus
Clásico.
Al Clasico. I'm like, wow, that's creative. They better not have some stupid like BC Clasico or like.
I like when they can use the name of the teams as well. So, for example, back home,
Mhm.
or in Brazil, when I mean, or even in Argentina too. But in Brazil, sometimes like there is 2 teams from Rio. They're quite big, Flamengo and Fluminense.
Yeah, that's right.
FLU, right?
Yeah,
So that's the beginning. So they call Fla-Flu, right?
Fla-Flu, yeah,
The Fla-Flu Derby, because it's the
yeah,
3 letters and they're quite similar, but it sounds better than say
yeah,
I don't know, Rio Clásico, because
yeah,
that
yeah,
you
yeah.
just exactly what you said. You're just being
The Real
cliche. You're just
Clasico.
copying the
Yeah.
traditional stuff. So
Yeah, so I know North Americans have a habit of stealing stuff from the Europeans or whatever, but at least you have like in was it Turkey? You have the Eternal Derby, is it not? It's
yeah,
Galatasaray and Fenerbahce. Is
yeah,
that who it?
yeah.
Yeah.
I like Galatasaray Fenerbahce, and then you have the Dockers Derby, which
Hmm.
is I don't know if you watched that movie, but I like that movie as a
No, I haven't.
teenager a lot. The Green Street Hooligans.
Oh, I've heard of it. Yeah.
West Ham and Millwall.
Yeah.
So 2 teams, traditional teams from London, aggressive fans, traditional
Yeah.
hooligans.
Exactly.
So they have the Dockers Derby.
Yeah.
So it's pretty common in London for the Dockers Derby. But yeah, there are names like that I feel like
Yeah.
it's I think it's the Dockers because they're in a part of London that there are docks near the river.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So I feel like those things make sense
Yeah.
more than the
Well,
classical.
yeah, exactly. And I don't know why we don't just call it the Battle of Alberta because I mean that's what it is for hockey, but I think that sounds better.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's something, or you could like even just switch up. I don't know. I just don't like it when
Calgary.
it just sounds
Just kidding.
cheesy. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress. The
They
next
could
game
they
though,
could say like for BC there are multiple things they can call it, but
they could
you
call
know
it because it's Langley versus Langdon. So you could do something like the Flufla. You could do the
Langlong.
Lang Derby.
Langlong.
Yeah, Lang
Long
Derby.
Lang.
Or
That's
there's
funny.
gotta be something, yeah, but or whatever. What's there must be. Hold on, I don't have a keyboard. What's the strait that separates the island and Vancouver?
Yeah, you do that. Yeah, it's a Strait of Sun something. Oh no, that's the tectonical faults. My bad. I went deep
Yeah,
in
there's gotta be something. What is it? It's gotta have a
one.
name.
Let me
How does
see
it not have a
British.
name?
No, you probably do though. Like
Yeah,
I think it's Strait of Georgia.
Strait of Georgia.
Yeah, that's the name.
I mean, it's kind of. I wish it was something cooler, but you could have Georgia Derby because it separates the 2 clubs or whatever.
And Americans will be confused. It's like, where's the game? It's not in Atlanta.
Yeah, it's not.
Um, cool. But
Okay.
just to add up to York, like it is a disappointing season for me. Like just
Yeah.
heading up to the game, like I've had high expectations because they got the assistant coach from the Cavs, which
Yeah.
we know that he had a good mentorship through his career in the CPL, so that was a bit of
Hmm.
that.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm not saying that's his fault, definitely not, because it is
No.
definitely players, association, like everything else, right?
Yeah.
But they also got a lot of young talents, which I thought they were going to be succeeding, and they did in the beginning of the season. Like
Yeah.
we even talk about the Rosario and a few of those
Yeah.
players.
Right.
D-Lo, which was on national team right now, like those players. Um, sorry, Low. What's his name? Lower
Lowell,
right,
right?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like in the end of the day, I feel like they might bounce back, but they
They
actually
could.
just got an Australian player a couple of days ago.
Hmm.
That was 18, 19 years old kid that did a good season in Australia at the Australian
Hmm.
League. So they're still trying to like make some
Yeah.
moves, right?
Yeah.
But yeah,
No, I think yeah, I think they could bounce back, but now they've lost Abzi as well. Who
yep,
was
you're right.
arguably he's been there for every season, every game. So you're arguably losing your best player, which for a good reason because he needs to move on and get better and go to a more competitive league. But for York's season, it's not exactly
Yeah.
looking bright. But that's okay because
Talk
they
about
have the
Abizi.
players
Where
to
is
turn
he going
around.
again?
Where is he going? I can't put my tongue on it. I forget where he's going. Not like Romania or anything.
France, France
France,
League
right,
Two,
right. Yeah, that's right.
Pau FC,
Yeah,
Pau FC. That's the name.
yeah.
But, yeah.
So we'll move on to Atletico versus Wanderers. That was on Thursday. We'll go back to the Wednesday game. We'll stop at Forge Valor, but Atletico Wanderers again not showing great form. They kind of been disappointing lately, but I don't know. They kind of like mid-table sort of form, like win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. But Atletico again showing that they have the players and the I don't know, just they're just on a winning run, kind of like Cavs are at the moment. Like they're in a purple patch. That's what it's called, where they're just everything's going right. They're beating each team. They're expecting to win, and they're doing it. It's fun to see a couple teams start to do that, and it's a different team as well. Like it's not
Yep.
just Cavalry and Forge and Pacific doing what they do, and then everyone else is chasing. Now it seems a lot more diverse in terms. I mean, even though those three teams that I just said are in the top four, Forge just lost 2 games in a row. Wanderers are tied on points, even though Forge have a couple of games on hand. Like it's just I don't know. I feel like Valor are still in the shout. Like everyone but York and Edmonton have a chance of winning the league. So like you said, it's keeping things competitive, especially with the results of Cavalry and Pacific tying 3-3, which for me kind of hurt because we had the lead and everything. And obviously I want to take the lead, but for the overall sake of the league, that's a good result because
Yep.
it doesn't allow anyone to move forward. Not good for Pacific, but Cavalry will take a point as they still have a game at hand on second
And
place.
and and I mean, like the game was a 3-3 too, because those 2 red cards in the first half that
Yeah,
led to that, right? The game became a 10-10,
yeah,
and then it's open. You know what I mean?
yeah,
You know how it works. Like
yeah,
you work with soccer, you know how it is. So
yeah,
and it was a really good, back and forth, right? Like the Cavs were able to come back, and then in the end, not in the end, but the last 20
yeah,
minutes,
yeah, yeah.
Pacific tied. So it was a good game. I feel like it was a good game for the league, like you said.
Hmm.
Um, would love to see more games like that. I did not see if like I know that it was a disagreement in between Manuel Aparicio and David Norman Jr., but I didn't actually see the play. Did you got to see the play?
Oh, I missed it. My buddy was over and he was distracting me, and then I look at the TV, and then both players are sent off. I'm like, okay, what's happened?
Uh,
And even the highlights didn't even show me what was going on. They didn't show the
yeah,
red
yeah, yeah.
cards. I hate that one soccer doesn't allow that. I don't know why. Show us the highlights of the game, regardless if it's a goal, like a missed free kick, missed penalty, or like a coming together or a really good tackle. Like the game is more than just goals. So, but no, yeah, I think I want to say one of them threw a punch. because I mean, it's a red card, so you have to be endangering the safety of your opponent or something like that.
I know like the ref can be really bad, and then
I mean,
they
yeah,
both both players could just push each other and swear, and then instead of him just being harsh and giving
yeah,
2 yellows, he's just like, you
yeah,
know what, like red, like that
yeah,
happens in that happens in
yeah.
football. Sometimes there are
So I
refs
mean,
that
and
just
it's CPL
eh,
refs, so who knows?
uh, like refs sometimes they can lose control of the game with a
Yeah,
move like that where they can easily control the game, give 2 yellows, put both in their spot,
yeah,
and then they would rather go rough, and then every other players get pissed, and then the game
yeah,
becomes more
yeah.
aggressive. Quite a few games that you see red cards on and that's statistically speaking, that you see red cards on the first game,
Mm-hmm.
on the first half, sorry, you will see on the second half.
Yeah.
And sometimes you'll be from one side or for the other side, it doesn't matter. It's just because
Mhm.
the energy goes up, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Another
exactly.
thing that's a cool, interesting fact I looked at recently on the same article I was reading about it was an article from One Football about interesting numbers in football. Is how
Mm.
many times a player score an own goal and score a goal in favor in the same
Yeah.
match.
Yeah.
There are actually
Happens all the
thousands
time.
of times over the past 20 years that happened.
Yeah, I believe that.
I was watching Libertadores South America Champions League game yesterday. It was 7-1. My team, round 16 right now against the Colombian champion, whatever.
Yeah.
It was 7-1. A Colombian guy, they scored a goal, he scored an own goal. That was the
Jeez,
first
okay.
thing I thought about. I was like, damn.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah.
yeah. And it definitely happens more than you think. But I just looked at Pacific FC's record just as you were saying that. They haven't won a game in at least 5 games or
Oh,
more.
yeah. Yeah.
They are in poor form because they at
Yep.
one point they were what? At one point they were like 10 points above second with a couple. I mean, teams had games at hand or whatever, but 10 points to now 4 points behind the leaders, and they've played
Yep.
14 games. Everyone's played less games than them except for Edmonton. That's not a good position to be in at all. Like,
Nope.
all have Valor has to do is win 2 games and they're above them. All Wanderers have to do is win their next game and they're tied. Like,
Yeah, and they're not like, I think they're missing Bustos, but that's about it. No, Bustos are not in great
Bustos is
form. He's
playing.
coming from the bench. Yeah, he
Yeah,
played. He played the game.
yeah, he
He's
did.
coming from the bench. Diaz hasn't scored a lot recently. He was a guy that I think at the beginning of the season we even highlighted here a few times,
Yeah,
scoring a lot of goals, being proactive, and he's kind of off. So I don't
yeah,
know. It's because we said that Pacific in the beginning of the season scoring machine.
yeah.
You
They just
had
couldn't. They just couldn't stop.
3 or 4 players
Now,
there. They
yeah,
were pretty consistent scoring.
yeah, it's just fun. It's weird how that works because it's like them and York United had such great starts, and then York started dropping off, and now Pacific is dropping off at the same time. And again, keep coming back to it. It's good for the league. Keep saying that
Yeah.
because it keeps everything competitive. And for Pacific's sake, I hope that they can get things going. But at the same time, for a Cavalry fan, like it's an absolute dream that the reigning champions are stuttering this early on in the season.
Yep.
Oh,
Oh,
having a cold one there.
sorry.
Sorry, I heard the can open.
Oh no, it's like I take notes sometimes. Like
Oh, your
we
pen.
discuss
Oh,
what
I
we're gonna
see.
talk about it. So I have
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
like
yeah,
my
yeah.
notes and
Okay,
stuff.
that's right. That's right.
Um,
That's funny.
yeah, I'm
Well,
cracking a
anyway,
cold one right now.
let's to let's go to the final game. Forge and Valor. That was just over a week ago. We would have covered it had we done the podcast
Last
on
week,
last
yeah.
Thursday, but that's okay. We'll quickly go over it. Valor with a red card, but they ended up beating Forge at home through William Accio, who he's got to be picked up by that Ross County, isn't he? He's being looked at, is he not?
For Scottish
For
Premiership, yeah.
yeah, for the same
I
team that picked up Loturi.
Loturo, yeah,
Yeah,
Loturi, and he has already 2 Canadian brothers there from
yeah,
Guelph, Ontario, Ben
hmm
Penton and Harry Penton, I think is their name.
yeah,
Um, yeah, like I mean, it would be awesome. Like I think we
yeah,
already discussed that before. Like the Scottish Premiership, it's a league that has a monopoly pretty much, right? Like I mean,
yeah,
over the past 60, 70 years, I think only two
yeah,
winners, Celtics
yeah,
and Rangers.
yeah,
Um, but it is a league that it's a first division league, does have traditional players that go to the Premier League after or go to the Championship after. So I feel
Yeah.
like it's a good development league in Europe, similar to Belgium. You know,
Yeah.
it's a league that, because of the size of the country itself, it's almost impossible to be as competitive
Yeah.
as France, Spain, etc. But it's a good development league.
Yeah.
But Akio, I don't know. Like, I feel like it would be good to have him in the league at least to the end of this year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's the kind of position that he leaves out of goals, right? So if he
Mm-hmm.
goes to a club like that and he has a bad half season or a season and he scores 2 goals in 30 games,
Yeah.
which is bad for a striker, he's
Mm-hmm.
gonna get low and sold out in the season after.
Yeah.
And it's different than a defender or a center midfielder like Victor Loturic, which,
Yeah.
you know, he can show his efforts without having to score a goal. You
Exactly.
know, stealing balls, having a high percentage
Yeah.
on the making the passes, like not missing passes. So yeah, so I feel like it's tricky with strikers. Like there is a striker that was playing
Mm-hmm.
for the Whitecaps that went to St. Johnstone in the Scottish Premiership,
What
and
was
he
his
did
name?
not have a good season. He's on the bench
Yeah.
right now. Theo Bear or
Yeah.
Theo,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and he's the kind of striker that if he
Yeah.
went there and scored 20 goals a year, he could have been having opportunities for the Canada Soccer, like first national
Yeah.
team, you know. But he's not scoring goals. You know what I mean? So it's not he's
Mm-hmm.
not even getting minutes, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, strikers are tricky. That's my main concern of Akio going there. It's like losing minutes for him at the development age. So
Yeah. I think if he should, in my opinion, I think he should just finish the season here in the CPL, get as many goals as he possibly can,
yeah,
and then hop on over after the World Cup or whatever. Um, especially because, and then who know, like, because what he plays for, his national team is what the.
South Sudan or Sudan or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, South
Yeah,
Sudan, yeah. So, like, I'm sure there'll be friendlies at that time as well. So even after the CPL's done, it'll be like there'll be friendlies in between all the before the end of the season. So he has lots of games to play and lots of times to prove himself still and get better and better. I think it's
yep,
better if he waits, just develops a little bit more, just to get the little finer things finished, so he can go over to Scotland and kind of start with a boom, because they'll start their season and he'll be fully flying. Whereas if he goes over now, he's got to go through a preseason and kind of stop playing
yep.
a little bit. So
I feel like I just don't want it to happen to Ongaro. Like
yeah,
actually, Ongaro just signed up today
yeah,
with Whitecaps too.
yeah,
So we lost a talent from CPL to you know try to develop in Europe. I did not maybe it was not able to adapt. I don't know what happened,
yeah,
to be honest. I didn't look his stats. I think it was a Romanian league or whatever.
yeah.
But now he's back at the MLS2, which I mean, like, you know, if you ask a CPL fan, like, do you want to see a player leaving to the CPL to the MLS2? Most likely, it'll be no.
No.
I'd rather just keep him in the Edmonton. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he was scoring goals, right?
Yeah.
So I think Ongaro, it's kind of like the example I'm trying to give. It's almost like
Mhm.
talented young player in the league scoring goals,
Yeah.
but did needed to develop a bit more before taking that European step.
Exactly. No, yeah, I agree. It's tough that Ungaro had to. It was almost like Tristan Borges as well. Like Borges went
Yeah,
over to Belgium, came back through for whatever the circumstances were. Obviously, new coach and everything, but it's I mean, at least we're getting more attention. But I just wish he would have gone back to FC Edmonton. Just like I don't know what the situation was. Maybe wages were an issue or whatever. Who knows? But that would have
maybe
been
he's
good
trying
for
to
him.
make Tremelas, right? Like
Yeah,
maybe on the contract negotiation there was that like we'll give you more
yeah.
opportunities there, right? Like
I think, yeah, I
um,
definitely think that I think he's just watching him in person. He's good enough to make MLS. Like he's got the physicality. He's tall enough. He's well above average height. So in the box, he's an absolute demon when the ball
yeah.
gets thrown in there. But at the same time, like he's fast as well. Like he's no slouch.
Look at what's his name, Mo Farsi, right?
Yeah.
Like he got Columbus Crew too, but he
Hmm.
already has 2 caps for the first team on the
Yeah.
MLS. I think
So
it's like 20-30 minutes for MLS
yeah,
already.
that's good. Like
Uh,
that's a taste of MLS.
exactly,
It's professional.
exactly, and that's the kind of stuff that I think Ongaro might be looking for.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, Scottish Premiership, like again, great development league. I feel like it will be a great pathway for Canadian CPL Canadian players to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would rather see a player like Karifa Yao, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Going because he's a big boy. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
he's the kind of player that there are a few things that you can work with him as a defender, like improving passing, long distance
Hmm.
positioning. He actually failed one of the goals against Pacific, and
Yeah.
I think it was against Pacific.
Yeah. Yeah. He lost the
Uh,
ball there. I don't know why. That was uncharacteristic of him.
exactly. Those are things that you can work through, even like sports psychologists and things
Yeah.
like that. That those clubs have more infrastructure to provide.
Hmm.
So a
Yeah.
player like Harry Fayal, I think, would take a huge development going there.
Hmm.
Um, Again, because of his physical body type,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, like I feel like there are other players that they could explore, but
Hmm.
maybe they'll hire me one day to be the scout, and we'll go
Yeah.
from
There you go.
there.
So since we're talking about transfer rumors, Insigne and rumored Bernardeschi from Juventus moving over to Toronto and Pozuelo leaving, which I think Pozuelo leaving's good. No offense, but honestly, I just never
Overrated.
was convinced by him. I was
Yep.
never convinced by him. Whereas Insigne and Bernardeschi are like played in Champions League matches, won titles. All
Bernardeschi didn't he play the last Euro finals? You know what I mean?
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I
did he?
believe I
Yeah,
believe he did.
did he
Mm.
play with Italy? I can't. Yeah, I can't remember, but you're probably right.
So yeah, no, I feel like it's Toronto, Little Italy again, right? Like it's
Yeah,
just getting
yeah,
that
literally.
Giovinco vibes again. But to be honest with you, Insigne is much better player than
Way
Giovinco.
better
With
than
all the
Gio. Way better than
respect, well,
Giovinco.
without the respect to Giovinco, like I know he
Yeah,
has the history with Toronto FC,
yeah.
but Giovinco is always the young player in Juventus that people had high expectations because of his skill set,
Hmm.
but he
Yeah,
never reached that
yeah,
the expectation level that they had for him in Italy. And then he boomed in North America.
yeah.
Then he went to Saudi Arabia and things like that after. But um, Insigne he's an idol at Napoli. Like
Hmm.
he built like he made history there. So
Yeah.
it's like getting a a traditional striker back in the days to come to the MLS like that. It was really tough. You know, uh, like a lot of
Yeah.
clubs tried. The Australian League was able to get Del Piero. I don't know if you remember Del Piero when he was 37, 38. And um, yeah,
Yeah, Del
like
Piero. Yeah.
that's kind of like not comparing him to Del Piero, but just saying it's a big Italian player signing. It's not an average player. Um, so
Hmm.
yeah, I'm kind of happy for
I see. Yeah.
TFC. I just really hope he works out. You know what I mean? Because they've been having a bad season. So, and there is rumors right now that Mark Anthony might go there.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like
Yeah.
I'm
I
happy
saw that. That's
because you'll be interesting, but at the same time, it's like I'm scared because he is an important piece of Canada national team, and if Toronto does not make to
right.
playoffs,
Right.
he will be out of shape. So,
But you could also at the same time, he's playing with Jonathan Osorio, which
yes, absolutely,
is good. Like
yeah,
chemistry wise, like you'll want them playing to get better, and it'll probably end up guaranteed starting 11 for Canada versus Belgium. As scary as that still sounds, it'll probably be Eustachio K together, and then Osorio in the number 10 position. Those three.
yeah,
That's what I would put my money on to start.
yeah. I would put three midfielders defending the most, like you said as well.
Mhm.
Like I'll put Mark Anthony. I would most
Yeah.
likely put Rosario and put another tough midfielder there, and
Who
then
else would you
actually
put in
pull.
there?
I don't know if it's not Pieri. I can even put Atiba. You
Yeah,
know
you
what I
could put
mean?
a
And
Cuba
then
there. I don't know, but
um,
is he quick
here's the
enough?
thing. I don't know, man. I'm most likely gonna build a line of five on the back, put Alfonso Davis as a left back, not as a left winger for the
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
Because if he can defend like for Bayer, he can defend top notch right
Yeah.
wingers and right midfielders
Well,
through
who's
the whole
who's
year.
Belgium's right winger?
Torgan Hazard, maybe. I actually might be
Oh,
wrong. Don't
no,
take my
yeah,
word.
well,
Yeah.
he's definitely able to play, and Davies has played against Torgan so many times. So
Oh yeah. I have Borussia against Bayer.
yeah, so like
But
Davies
again,
knows
Torgan might also be benched now, right?
he could.
They do have. Let me even check right now. Right winger, they have Januzaj, which is actually with
Oh yeah,
Dalsing right
Nazai.
now. Yeah, they have the player from Milan that actually did a good season right now, Alexis Salamakers,
Oh,
Salamakers or whatever.
Salamakers, yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like
Yeah.
those would be, and then maybe I don't know. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You know,
Man, the only one I'm just scared of is freaking Kevin De Bruyne. It just
and Lukaku, bro. Like Lukaku for Belgian
and
national team, he's a beast. He's a beast. I've seen against Brazil, like against like Thiago Silva, Militon,
yeah,
Marquinhos,
but
like
yeah,
he creates a space for
mhm,
others, not even touching the ball, because he's so
but
big that he sometimes attracts
exactly,
defenders
man.
to him and creates a space, right? Like it's a beast.
What hurts me even more is that he doesn't play the best against the top teams. He plays the best against kind of like lower opposition, and
Yeah,
Canada is lower opposition in
technically viewed,
Belgium.
yeah.
So like he could have a field day, but at the same time, maybe that's why maybe you could put a Tiba there because he's big and strong, right? He's got long legs as well. Quickly doesn't even need to make a tackle. He
Yeah,
could probably just
you're
reach and take the
absolutely
ball
right.
away.
Like he does not have the speed, especially he plays Turkish league. Like it is not a
Yeah,
league that has the fastest football, but um, he's in really good shape, physical shape, man. The guy's almost 40 and he looks
yeah.
like he's 32. You know what I mean? Like you put him beside the 32, 33, he might even be in better shape. So
Hmm.
I would trust him better than anyone else to do that anchor, like that guy in front of
Yeah.
the defense right there protecting. I would trust him. He
Actually,
will move
yeah.
up. You know what I mean?
It could,
Like the
yeah, it
right
could.
way.
I think we'll probably start. Well, it'll be look like a back four as Davies is the left back, but I think Atiba will like move back into a center
Yep,
back position, and then it'll be a back five, and then
that's
with
what I
another
said. A
two.
line of five. Yeah,
Yeah,
like we'll put two defenders and just put him as an anchor in front, but he won't go up. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like we'll have right wingers and left wingers. He stays. Even
yeah,
when we're moving up with the ball on the field, it facilitates because you have two defenders that can pass, but you have also one centralized. You don't have that big gap. So
yeah,
one defender misses a pass, it creates a counter attack.
yeah.
He's able to stop that counter attack before it happens, right? So that
Oh
positioning
man.
is really traditional in that position.
Yeah,
With fuck, what's his name? Conte, like
yeah,
Conte back in the days, like Chelsea done that before,
yeah,
4-1-4-1.
yeah,
But then you know it becomes a line of five almost
yeah. It
on the
does. Yeah,
defense, and then when it goes up, it becomes a line of five in the midfield, right?
exactly. Yeah,
Or a 4-2. But it's almost like a 4-1-4-1 that they
yeah,
kind of structure the team. So
yeah,
Chelsea got to the Champions League final with really ugly football like
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
It
It
was
just
not,
shows
it
tournament
was not like
football is completely
a couple years
different.
ago.
Yeah,
So yeah,
that's
but
what
yeah,
that's what's really hope.
I feel like Canada having, it's kind of funny because Canada has been having a culture of futebol bonito, like the nice football that we call in Brazilian, like
Yeah,
scoring goals, goal, right wingers, like put Alfonso Davies as a left winger, try to cross a lot, try to create a lot of
yeah,
triangle movements on the offense. And that's unnatural from Canada. You know what I mean? Like that's
hmm,
unnatural usually from countries that don't make to the World Cup for 3 decades. They
yeah,
tend to defend more. So I like that, but I feel like we're gonna have to leave the mentality behind for this game. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Oh man, dude, I'm just so excited. Like I
Yeah,
can't contain myself. I can't wait. November is way too far. I'm just
yeah.
like
No,
thinking about. I'm just thinking about.
it's gonna
Oh,
go by fast. It's gonna go
it
by
will.
fast.
It always well technically we're at almost at the final when like it was supposed to be played because around
Yeah,
July 10th is where when usually the finals played. But
yeah. No, it's yeah. You're right. Yeah, it's usually July, right?
yeah,
Um, yeah. No, I
yeah, no,
remember going. I went to the 2014 World Cup, so
that's cool.
I came back. I came back a day before Brazil lost 7-1 to Germany. So
Oh
I'm kind
geez.
of glad I came back a day
Yeah,
before
no,
because
yeah,
I wasn't there to see the funeral feelings.
yeah,
But
man,
yeah, no, but exciting, man, exciting, and I feel like
yeah,
for Canada, a lot of good things coming. Eustáquio renew Porto, so he's going to be playing
yeah,
good quality football before goals.
yeah.
Lauren signed for
Lauren's now at Club Brugge.
Club
So it's
Brugge,
him
which
and Tajon together.
yes, that's
So it's
awesome. You know
actually
what I
it's
mean?
good. If Kay can play with Toronto, then it's him and Zorio. Then Kyle Larin and Tajon Buchanan will be playing together. Like this is good
Yeah.
stuff. Now we just need
And we just
Jonathan David to go to
and
Bayern, and
Alfonso
then we're good.
Davis together, you know,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
or
oh,
or they both go somewhere else. You know, I
yeah.
don't
That's
mind
true.
either.
Yeah,
Um, by the way, it looks like he hasn't. Alfonso Davis seems really expensive. Like that's what
mhm,
I've been reading. Like a lot of
yeah,
clubs consulted and the prices, because like when you ask for 70, 80, 90 millions for a defender,
yeah,
uh, people like are like, oh, They will be willing to pay on a right winger that's 17, 18, 19 years old, but they're not going to
Yeah.
pay on a successful 28 to 25 years
Yeah.
old defender.
Yeah.
You've seen that Rudiger right now, Alaba, like a lot of those players that move, sometimes they move on a free contract. They don't get purchased because the club wants to sell for a price and no club wants
Yeah.
to pay the price for
No
a
club
defender.
wants it.
So
That makes sense actually, which is a good Rudiger was a good signing for Real Madrid because I think
absolutely.
he embodies that. He's like he always has like his chest out. He's like super confident, super cocky, and I think
Yeah.
that suits Real Madrid perfectly.
He's gonna bring the Varane. Varane made it a missing piece on that. Not Varane, but Varane and Sergio Ramos together.
Yeah.
They created that
Yeah.
missing
Now you
piece on the
have
defense, right?
well, now I have Rudiger, who's German, and Alaba, who's played in Germany forever. So
Yeah.
their ideologies
And
are
Alaba
very
did
much
had a good
similar.
season. Militon from Brazil had a good
Yeah.
season.
So Real
And then you
Madrid,
have Nacho, which I don't like it. It's Spanish,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Jonathan David's the kind of player I really hope he moves, right? Because Lille
me too.
is not playing Champions League this year.
Yeah. He's
So,
good
yeah.
enough to play Champions League. I think we've kind of
Oh, yeah.
established that. I'm not sure
Yeah.
Premier League. I hope he goes to the Bundesliga because I think that's best for his development, just as a player overall. It's a more technical league than in England. I would even say Italy. Either Italy or Germany, I think would be a good shape for him.
Yeah, I feel like so I'm looking at right now the rumors for him.
Yeah.
So far, West Ham and Leeds, but nothing that concrete. You know what I mean? West Ham does need a striker.
Was he not
Absolutely.
linked with Bayern?
To who?
Bayern. I swear I
Yeah,
saw
he was
an
linked to
article.
Bayer. You're right.
Yeah.
He was linked to Bayer too. Yeah.
No, that
Because
would be
Bayer does need a striker, and their coach just said that, Cristiano Ronaldo does not fit the kind of style their Bayer goes for, which makes sense.
As a Bayern Munich fan, I love
You would want
it
that.
would be cool to have him. I mean, Serge Gnabry might leave this summer, but in all honesty, it'd be cool to have him, but he does not fit our ideology or our style of play whatsoever. So maybe when he was, not even when he was younger, because he's a little bit more individualistic. Bayern, it's very much, it's Germany. It's the team over the individual.
Yep.
Which is why I think Mueller just had a quote in the last international window. He said that you'll never see like a German player win the Ballon d'Or, or at this point you probably won't see them because they don't develop just individuals. They develop individuals in a team setting.
Yep.
So that's why you see when you look at Germany, you're like, there's no standout player. Neuer probably is your standout player, but he's a goalkeeper, so it doesn't really count. There's no standout player. They're just all dogs in a machine.
Like to be honest, like statistically speaking, Thomas Müller, it's a beast for a national team.
He's
look at the amount of. I think if he goes to this World Cup right now, and he scores, I think 3 more goals or 2 more goals, he's gonna beat the record from Ronaldo, Brazilian Ronaldo, number 9, and from Miroslav Klose.
Yeah,
Klose beat his record, I think. So maybe he beat Klose's record.
I think he would.
He's not even he plays center forward for one World Cup, but he's in the midfielder nowadays, right? No. So it's almost like
it's kind of goes everywhere.
Midfielder. So yeah.
So
no, I feel like Mueller, it's out of the curve. Like he is a crack. Like he's out of the curve. But you're absolutely right. Looking at even back in the days, like Philipp Lahm, Schweinsteiger, like those guys are much more group players than individual players. And that's what made that 2014 Germany machine,
Yeah, I mean, you look at all those players, and Miroslav Klose, he's a great player and a legend of the game, but was he really that special?
He was a killer. He in the box. He was a box killer. That's it.
If you compare him to Schweinsteiger, to Hummels, to Neuer, like they're all fantastic players. Like there's no standout player where like in Brazil they had Neymar and like Thiago Silva. That's it.
Yeah. But Klose was what Brazil tried to do with Fred. Back, which is a striker that is really good in the box, but you do need to have a team that plays as a team in order for him to score 6, 7, 8, 9 goals in a World Cup like he's done it before. I've watched it, man. The first World Cup I watched was 2002, like that I remember clearly. Like I watched 98, but I was a kid. I watched a game, Saudi Arabia and Saudi Arabia and Germany, Sapporo Dome. Memory is good. Saudi Arabia, Sapporo Dome, 8-1 Germany against Saudi Arabia in 2002 World Cup. You can even Google this game after. Close scored 4 goals at 21 years old. If you watch the goals, it's literally just him like fake move here, move there, tap
Just
it.
tapping,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Box on the box.
It's literally
Yeah,
like positioning. You can
yeah,
see the whole team, like Michael Ballack, like had like 3 assists on the game.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like you can see that the talent was Ballack and a
Mhm.
few other players, and close were just what they needed. It's a
Yeah,
person that
exactly.
knows how to put the ball in. So he's
Mhm.
not a talented player, but he's a scoring machine.
Yeah, he's smart.
Another player like that was what's his name? Mario Gomez. He
Yeah.
was like that too.
Yeah, he was close.
Not at
He was pretty close.
yeah,
Not as good,
but
but
yeah, not as good, but good.
yeah.
You know. Yeah.
So
Cool.
I think that's pretty much it. We kind of got a little sidetracked at the end, but kind of went through a couple of rumors. Just a quick brush up for the games on the weekend. We'll start with MLS. Let's see. Toronto plays San Jose at home at BMO Field on Saturday. Montreal plays Sporting KC on Saturday, and that is it for this weekend. Do not think Vancouver plays. MLS schedule's so weird. I swear they never play any games.
Vancouver plays tomorrow, Minnesota.
Wait, do they? Oh, yeah.
Um,
Sorry, I missed it.
yeah,
Yeah, they play
yeah.
tomorrow. Late
in
game
Vancouver. Yeah.
in Vancouver.
I think Vancouver is gonna take it. Like I think they won last game as well. 1-0, didn't they? Let me double check.
They tied New England Revolution
They tied.
0-0. It was
Yeah.
kind of a boring. It was kind of a boring game. That's what I remember. Okay, perfect. So
I don't
there's
know.
your
I feel
MLS
like
games for the weekend.
yeah.
Hmm?
I was just gonna say I feel like it might be similar to that LAFC game they had a week ago.
Could be.
They play for one ball. So
Yeah, exactly. And tomorrow could be a killing. Forge playing York United. Now both are not in the best form, but I still think Forge is going to win that game. Just to me. But it's at home, and York United have no fans, so it's really just a neutral venue. FC Edmonton play Pacific FC on Saturday at 2 p.m. Mountain Time, that'll be a good game because FC Edmonton are in good form and Pacific aren't. And FC Edmonton have come close to beating Pacific this season already. So that'll be interesting. And then Cavalry travel to Ottawa to play Atletico on Saturday at 5 p.m. Mountain Time. And then to finish off the weekend, yeah, that'll be a very good game. Even though depending on who wins, Cavalry could go potentially 6 points ahead, or they could be tied on points, or just with games at hand and everything. And then Sunday, Valor is home to Halifax. So everyone plays this weekend. There's no bye weeks or anything right now, which is very, very happy to see that. But yeah, that's your roundup. I think Valor will take that game. I think Akios found their front lines found their form again, and I just don't trust Halifax at the moment. They're just so confused at the moment. But
yeah, they're pretty inconsistent overall. Like you just look at the last 5 games, right? 2 wins, 3 losses, right? So it's pretty inconsistent.
So based on they lost, win, so lost. So maybe they'll win this game. I don't know. Tune in to find out, I guess. Anyway, that has been episode 9 of the podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed, even though we digressed a little bit. Thanks, Felipe, for joining me again. And we will see you next week.
See you.
See ya.